Welcome, cursed friends, to another episode of Creepy Horror. Welcome to the world of high-pressure sales. It started on a Tuesday. Marla was rinsing her coffee mug in the kitchen sink when the doorbell rang. She checked the time, 4:44 p.m. Not unusual, but the light of dusk cast a strange hue on the world outside. When she opened the door, a little girl stood on the porch, maybe 10 years old. Her uniform was that of a typical scout outfit, but it looked old, outdated, like something from a historical photograph. The badges decorating the girl's sash looked unusual, but Marla couldn't make out the details on them.
"You should buy some cookies,"
the girl said. Her voice was flat, almost robotic. Marla smiled politely. "Oh, no thank you, I'm not much for sweets." The girl didn't blink. She held up a box. The label on it read, "Choco Shadows."
"I promise they'll change your life."
Marla chuckled awkwardly and stepped back. "No, really, I'm good. Have a nice night." She closed the door. However, the girl didn't move. She stood there, still as a statue, long after the door had clicked shut. Marla watched from behind the curtain. After a long time, the girl turned and walked away. Marla checked the time and was shocked to learn that the girl had been standing at her door, staring at it, for nearly 45 minutes. That night, Marla dreamed of the front door of her home slowly opening on its own. On Wednesday evening, the doorbell rang again. It was 4:44 p.m. The same girl had come, carrying the same box.
"You should buy some cookies."
It wasn't a question, just as it hadn't been the first time. This sounded like a demand. Marla hesitated. "Didn't you come by yesterday?" The girl didn't answer. "I told you no,"
"Are you sure you don't want any?"
the girl said.
"They'll change your life."
Marla shivered. Something about the girl's eyes, how wide and glassy they were, unsettled her. "Please leave," she said, and closed the door. Again, the girl remained on the porch for nearly an hour, but Marla didn't possess the courage to confront her again. Marla didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, listening to the sound of crinkling plastic just outside her bedroom window, though when she checked, no one stood there. The lawn was dark and bare. On Thursday morning, Marla found a box of Choco Shadows sitting on her porch. There was no note and no price. She threw the cookies in the trash. By noon, the box was back, sitting on her kitchen counter. Marla lived alone. No one had keys to her home. She opened the box. The cookies inside were black, almost glossy. They smelled of vanilla and something else, something like burnt hair. She dumped them in the trash and took the bag to the garbage outside. That night, she dreamed that the girl sat at her dining table, eating cookies and staring at her with her glassy eyes. The doorbell rang on Friday at 4:44 p.m. Marla didn't answer. She watched from the peephole. The girl just stood there. This time, she held a clipboard.
"You just need to sign, ma'am, for receipt. Then we'll leave you alone."
Marla opened the door a crack. "What is this?"
"Proof of delivery. We can't take back what you've received. You must sign."
Marla shut the door. The next morning, she found muddy footprints on the outside wall of her house. They led up to the roof. Another box of Choco Shadows waited for her in the kitchen. Stressed, Marla took the box to the police. The officers nodded with concern, but their eyes glazed over when she showed them the cookies. "Must be some Halloween prank," one officer said while biting into a Choco Shadow. He smiled too widely. "I wouldn't fight it if I were you." Marla threw out the cookies again. In desperation, she looked online for solutions and somehow stumbled into a forum for believers of the supernatural. At first, what she read sounded like nonsense. But then she pictured the footprints on the side of her house and the boxes of cookies that had mysteriously appeared in her kitchen. She stopped scoffing. She salted the thresholds and lit sage. She crossed her fingers and she prayed. Saturday passed quietly. 4:44 p.m. came and went. The doorbell didn't ring. No one appeared on her porch. Marla nearly wept with relief. She had successfully banished the girl and her cookies. But on Sunday, at 4:44 p.m., the doorbell rang again. The girl had returned. Her uniform was torn, and one of her eyes seemed to sit crookedly in its socket, as though, like a doll's, it had come loose.
Please sign.
Marla slammed the door shut. She shoved heavy furniture in front of it and nailed the windows closed. She armed herself with the kitchen knife and sat in the corner farthest from the door. That night, she heard footsteps on the roof. She wasn't sure they weren't on the ceiling, too. She didn't dare to blink. Monday morning arrived on an exhausted Marla. When she entered her kitchen, she wasn't sure at first if she were hallucinating. The entire kitchen was filled with boxes. Choco shadows were stacked to the ceiling as though her home had become a warehouse. Marla's phone refused to turn on. The clocks all stopped at 4:44 p.m. Marla stopped eating. She stopped sleeping. The girl began speaking through the television, the sink, through the wind.
Sign and it ends. Sign and it ends. Sign and it ends.
Tuesday came again. A full week had passed. Marla, gaunt and wild-eyed, opened the door. The girl stood waiting, clipboard in hand. Behind her, the world was black and still. No wind, no birds, no sky. What happens if I sign?
You get cookies and peace.
Marla looked down. The paper was blank but radiated heat. She picked up the pen. You promise you'll leave me alone?
Promise.
Marla signed. The moment the pen lifted from the page, the girl smiled. Not sweetly, but like a wolf.
Thank you for your soul. Enjoy your cookies.
The world seemed to blink, or maybe it was that a great secret shift occurred. Marla found herself standing in her kitchen. Sunlight poured into the room through the windows. The boxes of cookies were gone. The house was clean. Marla began laughing in relief, until she saw herself reflected in the oven window. She wore a uniform with a green sash. Now that she could see it up close, she discovered the sash wasn't decorated with Scout achievement badges. It was stitched with horrid-looking occult symbols. A box of Choco Shadow sat in her hands. A clipboard with paper was tucked under one arm. Marla tried to scream as understanding struck her, but no sound escaped. She ran to the front door and rushed outside and onto the porch of someone else's house. Another woman opened the door, confused at seeing Marla there. May I help you? Marla smiled automatically, unable to do anything else. You should buy some cookies, she said robotically. I promise they'll change your life.